Hey, how's it going? This is Rob from Justin's Toys, and I'm bringing you another original design. This is called the inverted hexafish, and as you can see, it's round just like the hexafish, but instead of having chevrons, it has this unique interlocking pattern. And I'm actually going to be making this bracelet here in the video. This is the rainbow version of the bracelet. And let's get started. Okay, so to set up your loom, you are going to need 3 bar pins, 1 large base and 1 small base. And the first thing you want to do is have your first bar pin, make sure that it's pointing that way, and then take your large base and connect it about 4 pegs in. So as you can see, not 4 pegs, but 4 slots in. So as you can see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I have the large base going into that hole. Alright, set it up just like that. Then you want to grab your second bar pin. Again, have the arrow facing that way. So if you look close, the arrows are actually pointing that way. And you are going to place this bar pin perfectly aligned with that top base, but on the bottom of that, so you can do one of these where it's straight. Okay, and then the last bar pin, you're going to have the arrow facing the opposite direction, and you are going to put that in the center, again perfectly aligned with the other bar pins. So the arrows on this one is actually pointing that way. So as you can see, arrows that way. And you have these two facing the same direction and this one facing the opposite. Then you're going to secure the other end with the smaller base plate. Push down. Make sure you're nice and sturdy. And we are going to be using these 6 pegs right here. Okay, so let me just zoom in, and for this bracelet I am going to be making it not black and white but gray and glow in the dark white. So what you want to do in the beginning, you want to pick 2 rubber bands that have colors that are completely irrelevant to the bracelet that you're making. So in this case, I'm going to just use 2 neon greens because they are not going to be in my final bracelet. And I am taking this and I'm putting 2 rubber bands like so. But what I am going to do is I'm going to take this top part of this bottom rubber band, bring it down, and take this bottom part of this bottom rubber band and bringing up. So it kind of looks like 2 8s that are combined, as you can see, just like that. And I'm going to do the same exact thing with that top rubber band. I'm bringing the top of the top down and then the bottom of the top up. So if you did everything right, it should look just like this. Okay? And then I'm going to push down because I'm going to need some space for my next 2 rubber bands. So the way that this works is, in order to give this cool striped effect, you are going to have to put 2 blacks then 1 white on top. So since mine is gray, I'm taking 2 grays and I'm putting it on top after I push down. And just like a regular hexafish, you are just going to put them over all 6 sides like so. And you want to make sure that order is intact. So the top rubber band is on the top, the middle rubber band is on the middle, and the bottom rubber bands are on the bottom. So as you can see, I just put 2 rubber bands on top that are perfectly aligned. If you go around the whole entire thing, you can see that every single rubber band is in order. The top's on the top, and bottom's on the bottom, and the middle's on the middle. So after you double check, you can begin looping. So at this point, I am going to go in and I'm going to grab the bottom rubber band on each peg. So there's my first one. My second one's going to be out here. My third one is going to be out here. This is going to be the hardest one in this whole bracelet, this peg, because there's really no way to make it as easy as possible unless you have multiple looms. But since I wanted as many people to learn this as possible, I have done the loom setup this way so that as many people can make this as possible. Alright, and then here, this part's pretty easy. You can just go into that slot. So, as you can see, I brought all 6 sides up. And now I'm going to grab my glow-in-the-dark white, put it on top, make sure it's on top of everything, and then put it on all 6 sides on the top, and then repeat. Again, I'm starting from one side. I'm getting into that groove. That one's pretty easy. These 2 corners are kind of tricky, but I find that the easiest way to go into those are right here. You kind of have to pick at it until you realize you have only one rubber band, which is the lowest, just like so. And you bring that up. This one's pretty easy because you have that groove. And again, this is the toughest one because there really is no slot or easy way of going into this, but you just kind of have to pick at it until you have the bottom one. As you can see, I got the bottom. Bring that up and do this, and keep going around. Again, go in here because there's somewhat of a groove, and bring that up. And I got all 6 sides. And now I'm going to go back to gray. So my pattern really is gray, gray, white, gray, gray, white, gray, gray, white, and so on. Again, make a habit of pushing down so you have some space for the next rubber band. Alright, and once again, starting from here, and I'm going to go all the way around counterclockwise or clockwise, whatever you'd like to choose. Just make sure you have a good method of keeping track of all 6 pegs, because if you skip a peg, then you'll have to work backwards, and that's a waste of time. Alright, so right here, again, right here is the easiest to access. And over here, I got all 6 sides. Next color is going to be a gray. And I'm just going to continue this just like a regular hexafish for about another 10 rubber bands or so. Alright, so all 6 sides, push down. Next is going to be white. Alright. number 1. Peg 2. Rotate around. Peg 3. 4. 5. And 6. Okay. Push down, make space for the next band. Next is going to be another gray. Bring that down, bring that up. Again, bottom band. Alright, that's all 6 sides. Next band is going to be gray. You always want to make sure that when you're bringing this up, that rubber band stays on the side. If you saw what happened before, it looked like the rubber band was trying to come up top. Make sure it doesn't go over this peg. You always want it staying on the outside. Alright, push down. Next rubber band is going to be white. I know it's going to be a white because I have 2 grays on the outside. So it's gray, gray, white. Okay. So as you can see right here, sometimes you'll be in a situation where this rubber band wants to come up with it, and it'll come up like that. You always want to make sure that this rubber band is caught by this peg and it's still staying out here rather than coming inside. As long as you do that, you'll be alright. Okay, now push down. That on. Okay, now push down. Next I was going to be gray. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now push down. Next I was going to be white because there's 2 grays. This is gray. You can see that's how you come up right there. I'm going to bring that down and make sure it stays on the outside. Alright. Okay, now push down. Again, back to right. Alright, okay. Okay, nice color white. Alright, so as you can see, I'm about 15 bands in. Alright, and this is where it completely differs from the regular hexafish, because what you are going to do is get in there, take your hook, and push out those bands. Alright, so I am just going to take my finger and guide it so that I'm going to bring this hexafish inside out. And as you can see some of those neon greens from when you started, and your goal is to grab as many of those neon greens as you can and just start pulling them. Alright, so there I have one. I'm going to try to grab one in the opposite side in order to make it as symmetric as possible. You could use your hands to help you. Alright, there's another one. There's another one. And once you have like 4 of them, you just want to grab all those neon greens and just, while you're holding the sides lower than the pegs, just pull on it kind of hard. Alright, and just like how you straighten the hexafish, you're straightening out this inverse hexafish, but in the opposite direction. So eventually what you are going to see happen is this is going to start growing inside that way. You just want to, every 20 bands or so, pull it up really hard to straighten it out, and it'll start growing this way up instead of down. Okay, so again, I am going to continue. My next band is going to be gray. I'm just putting it over like that. You have to bring this in through the center of the bands. Use your hook to put it on the outside, just like so. Okay. And just continue. Push down. Next color is gray. Bring it out on the outside. And bring that one glow white up. Glow white up. Okay, push down. Next color is white. Across, over, over, bring that bottom gray up, bottom gray up. Bring this up. Okay, push down. Next is gray. Okay, push down. Next is gray. Alright, so as you can see, naturally it still wants to go down. It's going to keep on building until it hits that arrow where it can't go down any further. But even at this point, I'm still going to pull it out. And again, hold the sides. Hold right here, like that. And then while you're pushing down on the bands, preventing it from falling off of these pegs, you are going to pull up. Alright? And as you can see, it's coming out. I mean, you could probably make a cool pineapple design with this. But that's for a different tutorial. Okay, so push down. Grab another white. Eventually it's going to get to the point where you're going to see this coming out high enough. What I usually do in that case is I grab a whole bunch of rubber bands that I'm putting on. And I just put it through, kind of like as if this was a pen. I'll just drop the rubber bands on top, just like so, and then put some other rubber bands. And then what you can do is just grab whatever your next color is. My case is being white. Grab the white, put it around that peg while I'm holding this, and then put it around the other edge, other end of that peg, and bring these up and over. And that way you don't have to keep on grabbing bands and then individually having to put them over. Okay. Next is gray. Push down. Next is gray. Okay, next is white. Alright, so you are basically going to do this for the next 60 to 70 bands or so. So, I'm just going to do 2 more before I start fast forwarding through this whole entire thing. Okay? So, next band is gray. Alright, I'm going to pull, again, hold on its side just like that, and then pull straight, straighten it out, grab a whole bunch of bands, put it through on top, grab your other color. So my ratio right now is 2 grays to every white, which is why I'm putting a lot more grays. And then I'm just going to continue. Gray over here. Gray over here. Up and over. Up and over. Bring that bottom down. Down. Alright, so at this point I'm going to start fast forwarding, so you can pause now. Okay. So I'm almost towards the end. I'm just going to pull up so I could straighten this out. Push down. Okay. Okay, and this is the last rubber band that I'm pulling up. Alright, so just like the hexafish, when you reach the last two rubber bands on the sides of the pegs, you want to still bring that last bottom one up so that there is only one band on each of the peg. So, bring that up. Bring that up. Bringing that up. Bringing that up. And I'm bringing that last band up. Okay, and at this point, I'm just going to pull while I'm holding the rest of it down. Okay, and now, similar to the hexafish, I am going to start moving this bottom left one to the right one. Okay, I'm going to bring this top one down one, and then I'm going to bring this one and put it under this one, and I'm going to do so by taking this like this, pulling it off, okay, and then when I pull it off, I grab this top band, pull it down, and then reapply both of these back onto this peg. And the reason I do that is because it creates a tighter space right here. So if you look at this, this triangle is smaller than this triangle, which is why I brought that one down under. It's going to make everything a lot easier. Okay, you want to grab your next rubber band, then put it through the other end right here, and bring it all the way down, just like so. Push down on all of the bands so that there's space for this white one, and you're going to take this white one and put it around all three ends, just like that. Okay, and we can actually remove this bar pen, alright, because it's just going to get in the way. And just make sure you have a base down here on this end, and you can remove this large base too. Maybe even get a small base and put it in its place. Okay, just like that. Alright, so what I'm going to do at this point is clip it. So you want to have your clip ready, but it's a lot trickier than the normal hexafish, because what you are going to do is you're doing the opposite. Instead of bringing the bottom up, you're actually going to bring this white below these grays. So I'm going to take my hook, I'm holding it like that, and I'm going into that groove right there in front of those 2 grays, just like that, then come outside that white that's on the top, and I'm bringing this white down, just like so. And this is the actual end that I'm clipping, so grab your C-clip, and then while you're pulling this down, you're going to clip just that one end, okay? And you can just leave that there, but you are going to go back to that. And once you bring this white band, just like we did the other one, you're going in front of these 2 grays, just like so, turning your hook. Then when you're on top of that white, turn your hook back, and you're going to pull this out. Okay, you might have to wiggle it. And once you do that, take your C-clip, bring this closer to it, okay, and then clip that as well. It's very tricky and it's very advanced, so you gotta be really good at this to do this part. Okay, so I got it. Alright, next one's the last one, over here on the other side. And you're going in front of these 2, and you're just going to grab that white one, pull it down, I'm just going to bring it back out because it's going to be easier. So in front of those 2 grays, just like so, turn your hook back, and pull it out. And just at this one, just take your hook and put it all the way through, because we are actually just gonna take this off of the loom now. Alright, so you can just start removing the bands. Careful with this clipped end, because you do not want to unclip any of these. So I'm just pulling it off very gently, just like so. And then this one, so right here, I'm gonna pull off and bring this clip up securely onto one end, and then you're going to clip this last one that's still on this hook, just like that. Now you just want to pull on it really hard, and you'll see it'll look like that if it's done right. Okay, so that is clipping one end, and now we have to clip the other end, and we are going to do that by reapplying it back onto the loom. And just like the hexafish, you'll see that there's petals. Let's modify our loom to make it easiest. And we're making the smallest triangle possible, which is going to be these 3 right here. And we're going to put this back onto the loom. Alright, so you just want to take your bracelet and put it in the center of that triangle. And then we have the fish for those 2 ends on each one of those petals. So I am going to start with the hardest one, which is this one right here. It looks like it's almost impossible to see. because it's pulled down really far. I'm just grabbing these two neon ends to help it up, and then I'm fishing for those two grays. Alright, so I got them, and I am putting them onto this peg right here. Just like that. And then the two right next to it, I'm also grabbing. Right there. And I'm also putting it on those, on that peg. And these two and these two, I'm going to put on this peg. So grab those two. And put them on this peg. And these two right here. I'm grabbing both of those. And I'm putting it on this peg as well. Okay. Now these two and these two are the last ones that I'm applying onto this peg. So those two. And then these two right here. You can help out by grabbing the neons and pulling it, and that'll kind of make it easier. Alright. When you look inside, there's a nice little star. So, push down. Okay, now grab a rubber band. I'm going to use another white, or glow in the dark white, and I'm just going to put it over those three pegs, just like that. Okay, actually I'm going to use this one. And once you do that, you're going to bring up all the bands on each of the pegs. So all four ends right here, bring it up, and don't let it slip. Okay, these four, make sure you get all four, because it might look like you have all of them, but there's actually two more on top. You want to make sure you're grabbing four ends, not just two. Okay, bring that on top. And then the last one is these four. You're bringing them up and over. And then you're going to take this, bring it up and over this peg. And then this one, you're going to turn and bring it up and over this peg. So now you have all three of these whites conveniently located over there, and you're just going to bring this back to itself and clip it just like so. And then you want to stretch out this band, flatten it out, round it, because there are some parts that aren't going to be as narrow because you didn't stretch it out. Okay, and once you have the whole thing completely stretched out, it'll look nicer. Alright. And if you clipped it right, you could remove these neons, because since we have that green holding those, these neons serve no purpose. So I'm just going to clip them. And pull them off. And it should still stay intact. Okay. And there you have it. That is the finished inverted hexafish. This is Rob from Justin's Toys, and thank you for watching.